everyone, including myself, a bunch of things, from learning how to groom to learning how to be the best player in basketball you could possibly be. And he's also made each and every one of us bilingual. We also speak English. We speak English. We speak English, but he's taught us another language that was forbidden in our childhood. We all know who that guy is. A Hall of Famer. He doesn't really need an introduction, but a great standing ovation, and he's our coach of the U of L basketball team, Coach P.
Thank you. Good job, guys. It's nice when you can pawn off your work on your players. Great job, guys. I'd like to introduce the rest of the basketball team, but before I do, I've had a lot of guidance the past 4 or 5 years and made so many correct decisions because every day she tells me if it wasn't for her, you wouldn't have made these correct decisions. Just like to introduce my wife, Joanne. Our freshman class is quite large. Most of our players, Terry Rozier likes to emulate D. Wade. Andre used to emulate Kobe. These two guys, they want to be Tim Henderson someday. From Lexington, Dylan Avar. From Oldham County, David Levitch. From the great state of Nebraska, Koya Gao. He plays defense like he's from Nebraska. From North Carolina, Anton Gill. I thought he was from Shaker Heights, but then now he says he's from Youngstown. When you're an infant, is that where you're from? Terry Rozier. Mango, I don't know. He's from the Sudan, Australia, Egypt. I don't know where the hell he's from, but Mango's a great guy. Mango Mathiang. Mango, stand up for a second, please. Just so you all understand. I need glasses. Those aren't a prescription. He's just trying to be a LeBron James Jr., right? Our sophomores. We only have one. Montrezl Harrell. You know, I was telling Montrez that the great thing about him, and, you know, he's developed a jump shot. He's gotten better defensively. But there's a unique talent that very few players have. I would think in my 35 years of coaching, I've seen less than 5, and I would put him in on that just have a motor all the time and play every possession as if it's their last on earth. And Montrez has that unique ability. He just plays so hard all the time, and certainly that's what makes him such a special player. The junior year. This young man was the Junior College Player of the Year. He's a dynamic 5'10" guard, Chris Jones from Memphis. This young man's finally healthy. He's gone through 2 shoulder operations. He looks great. He won the academic award last year for the best student athlete at the Final Four. And then the rest of his teammates passed out when he got the award. Wayne Blackshear from Chicago. We've been fortunate in my 12 years here never to have an NCAA investigation. When Wayne won that award, we had our first NCAA investigation. No, I'm only kidding. He's a terrific student. This young man, people always ask me, were we motivated by Kevin Ware's injury? Did it help us? I said, I'm not sure we could have played a second half like that. I thought that game would have been close, hard-fought until the end if it wasn't for the courage and the spontaneous emotion of the rest of the team members. After that, it hurt our team with his absence because we didn't have a bench. We didn't have a go-to guard. But this young man had great courage, and when he had this horrific injury, I saw a totally different side of him, a personality that I didn't know he had. And I said to his mom, I said, boy, that was something. She said, I've never seen that either. So sometimes throughout difficult times, you get rewarded and treated with a different experience. And we certainly went through that. The team went through it. All we wanted to do is go out in that second half and get Kevin Ware home to Atlanta. All he wanted to do for the guys is to win the game. And although I was very, very proud of the guys and their championship this year, I think when I look back on the season, that 15 minutes of interruption with Kevin's injuries, I was more proud of any basketball team showing the emotion for each other than any I've ever coached. So Kevin Ware. Our seniors, a young man from Indianapolis, very happy with the way the Colts played last night. This guy, we need big things from him this year. He's going to look at the basket for the first time in his life and try and score a couple of points. I told him when he grew up, he was afraid of the dark because of that reflection of that rim and that net. He thinks it's dark. He refuses to look at the rim. But he's still a very valuable asset to our team, and we expect him to have a big year. Stephen Van Treese. You know, all my life as a coach, walk-ons have played such an incredible role. It's happened at every place I've been. A walk-on has been responsible for getting us to a Final Four or winning a championship. And this young man, in Kevin's absence, he made a shot against Duke. Luke fed him a shot, and he made a three. But the last time I remember him shooting a shot was when we put him in. We were up a lot against Syracuse. We put him in. We yelled at him to take his warm-up pants off, and he took them off and then fell flat on his face at half court at Madison Square Garden. So when I had to put him in the game down 12, I had a little trepidation about him entering the game. And then he goes and hits two of the big shots, and if it wasn't for those two shots, I don't believe we ever get to the championship game. The best walk-on in the country, Tim Henderson. You know, people ask me, why did Russ come back? And really, I had nothing to do with the decision. It was a decision he made between him and his family. But one of the things, a year and a half ago, I started writing a book that some of you bought today, and we talked about it all season long last year. And I said, the problem today, young people are even nicer today than they were 15, 20 years ago. They're more considerate, they're more respectful, they're just great to be around. And they're a lot of fun. There's two things, though, that are a problem with the young culture today. One is technology. They don't know how to use technology the right way. It's overused. They take out phones too much. They don't interact. And unlike Luke and Russ, they don't articulate and communicate real well because they're always on the phone. Technology is the greatest thing that's come into our life. We can Google a restaurant, get a review. We can MapQuest when we're lost. It's awesome. But there's also a trap of technology. It's used too often, and it's taken away the hidden talents that every young person has because they can no longer verbalize or articulate what they want to speak about. And We started talking about the one-day contract last year because the second problem that young people have is they're always consumed with the future. They're always worried about where they're going next. And what they don't understand, and Russ is going to find this out next year. He's going to find out that these were the best 4 years of his life. And he's never going to have those years ever again. Because I look back and say college was the best years of your life. So we're trying last year to get everybody to concentrate, and the whole premise of the book is the night before to be as prepared as you possibly could be. And just think of it, everybody in this room, regardless of what you do in life, if you had one day, and if you didn't prepare, if you didn't focus, if you didn't show enough humility, if you didn't network the right people, you would not get renewed, you would not get a contract ever again. If you were a professor at the University of Louisville, and you didn't come with an incredible enthusiasm, with laser-sharp focus, Dr. Ramsey would give you a pink slip the next day. Well, that's the way we went about last season. Every day we talked about just being on a one-day contract, getting the most out of our abilities. And when we lost 3 in a row, we really didn't panic. We just realized that we lost to great teams and that we were going to go on an incredible run. And we talked about the run before it happened. I mean, clear as day, I can remember speaking to the guys saying, we're going to win our next 7. Now, it's going to be difficult. And I said to them, the Syracuse game won't be difficult at Syracuse, but DePaul will be. Now, you may say, that's strange. I never worry about the guys or any teams I coach with big games. You always worried about the games that they must, maybe the emotion is not there. Those games are the ones that scare every coach. But I said we're going to win the next 7. Then we're going to go into the Garden for the last time, and we're going to win the second Big East title. And we're not cutting down the nets. And I kept making a big deal about not cutting down the nets to get them to understand that what it symbolized, that down the road, when we got to the Final Four, we weren't going to cut it down. And the only moment where we were going to see a net was at the championship. I wanted them to think about it at that time, but I also wanted them to have the confidence that we were going to win 16 straight. Now, a run like that, at least in my lifetime, doesn't happen very often. You have to be incredibly focused to do that. And the thing that amazed me about our guys last year is never, whether it was Syracuse at Syracuse or Syracuse in the Garden or the Wichita State game and the Michigan game, it never fazed them to be down. They knew their conditioning, their mental toughness would take over. It never came back in any timeout, with the exception of one game, Notre Dame at Notre Dame. That was the only time that I never felt we were in charge of our destiny. And that game really helped us pay attention to little things, really enabled us to go on that great run that we went on. So this is a unique basketball team, and all of us, the great thing about Louisville is the team, the coaches, our AD, our president, we don't just keep our championship trophy with us. It's your trophy. It's everybody who supports our basketball team. There have been 3 in the history of the University of Louisville, and I've never seen a fan base so happy about a championship since I've been a coach. And the reason being, it's yours. It's ours. It belongs to all of us. But that run was something special because I've not been on a run like that before, where so many things had to go right in order to win. And we always say, were the guys under the influence of pressure? Pressure is the biggest ally that any athlete can ever have. And sometimes those games that you're supposed to win, you don't have that pressure, and you don't respond quite as well. Well, we're really excited about our conference this year because it's a really good basketball conference. It may not be a great football conference right now, and it may not be a great baseball conference right now. I'm not sure about that. But it's a great basketball conference with Memphis, Connecticut both ranked in the top 12 or 15, Temple and Cincinnati both in the top 25. They all tell me that SMU is going to be a dynamic basketball team, and I don't know about Houston and Central Florida and some of the other teams. So it's going to be great. We're also going to play North Carolina early in the season. You can come with us at the Mohegan Sun. We're going to go to Miami and play FIU, and you can come with us. We're going to be on an extended trip. We'd love to have you down there as well. And it's going to be an exciting season. We are 1 year away from a potential mini dynasty. 1 year. The Big East is the greatest basketball conference in the history of college basketball. We had, since we joined it, and since the inception of our arrival, we've had the most wins in the history of the conference. We've had the most road wins in the history of the conference. And now we have back-to-back Big East championships, back-to-back Final Fours. If these players could ever if the players could ever rise to the occasion once again, win another conference championship and go back to another Final Four, it takes 3 to have the makings of a dynasty. And boy, would that be unbelievable for them. And for Russ Smith, who came back, for Luke Hancock, who went through it, they may someday win an NBA championship and be part of it, but it will never be the feeling that they've gone through the last 2 years. For those who traveled with us to the Garden, for those who traveled with us to both New Orleans and Atlanta, you know that feeling inside. You know that run when you're down and you make that run, that minute 30 display of shooting by Luke Hancock, or that incredible display against Michigan by Peyton Siva. All those things you just never forget. But the one thing about humility, when you show great humility, you're always hungry to do it again. When you don't have humility, you think you've arrived, you embrace it. You don't get better, you're not competitive. The one awesome thing about it, this morning we practiced at 6:45 and we're going again this afternoon. We're a little behind right now. But these guys are totally committed, totally bought into trying to do it again. Now, does it take a little bit of luck? Sure it does. But it takes more than luck. It takes talent, it takes focus, and it takes that humility. And these guys have it. A great group, tough-minded. We're certainly going to miss Peyton Siva. We're certainly going to miss Gorky Zhang. Not only because of their talent, but they're 2 of the best attitudes I've ever coached. But if any team can do it 3 times in a row, it's this group of guys. Because they're the reasons we win. They're the talent behind every W. All the coaches do is prepare, get them to buy in and get motivated for what we do. And what we do is this. You know, we don't just speak about Louisville first. Everything we do as a basketball team is for you. The way when the ball goes up, the way we give every ounce of perspiration we have in us, what we do for our university, what we do for our fans, what we do for everybody that follows Louisville basketball. Because the players understand, if they put Louisville first, the name on the back trails after them, runs after them as if it's their shadow. They always get rewarded at the back by thinking of their team first and their university. And I've never been around guys in my life, in my 35 years, who do it any better than these guys. They truly play to make you proud. We are very proud of you for supporting us and giving us everything we need. Our AD, I always say this, and it's now going on 12 or 13 years. There's not anything that I can't have to make our program better that he won't go out and do it, even if we don't have it. And you don't know how lucky you are. I've been around some outstanding ADs, like Lou Lamoriello and C.M. Newton. But there's only one AD I've ever seen with the brilliance of Tom George. And Tom, we thank you. So we have And we're very humble about this. We don't expect another Final Four. We're just going to work toward it. But we have one thing that we say after each practice and before we go into games. And if you'd all stand up, please. Then somebody will say, we all put our hands up together. So if you put your hand up next to the person next to you, and we yell back-to-back on 3, that means back-to-back championships. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it.